Our political correspondent Cam Reddin live in the studio, and we've heard Ross Greenwood's analysis. There is a lot of economy watching and budget implications, but huge political implications out of this number as well.
Yeah, the timing of this really significant, Kieran. The Treasurer also making the point in this press conference a short time ago that the job is not yet over. The government has been attempting to make this point very clear in recent days, that even though the inflation numbers, which we'll show you again on your screen, are improving, that this is now almost a third of what it was when the Labor government came to power almost 3 years ago, that the job is not yet done. They're aware, the government, there is pain still very much in the system, but even though the odds of a rate cut are improving, the Treasurer does not want to weigh into the area of speculation, in his words, or offering any encouragement or direction on where the Reserve Bank may or may not go when it meets on February 18. There will be 2 rate cuts in the coming months. There can be a maximum, rate meetings in the next 2 months, a maximum of 2 in the time between now and that election deadline. The Treasurer was asked about the budget that's been penciled in for the 25th of March and whether today's figures make it any more or less likely that that budget may be put to the side if the government believes that its prospects for an election win would be improved by going sooner. He wouldn't weigh in specifically, but only to point out, the Treasurer, that it is the PM who has the final call on whether that budget does go through.
Well, we're working towards a budget on March 25th, and the reason the reason that I put it like that is because it's a decision for the Prime Minister. It's not a decision that I take alone. The Prime Minister takes that decision. Our expectation and all of our work is heading towards a March 25 budget. The reality is that the Prime Minister will make that decision. No doubt he'll confer with his colleagues about it.
So preparations are ongoing there. We can show you these crucial next few months and how they shape up for the government when it comes to the timing of these critical events, including a potential budget and that ultimate decision to call the election. You can see that first RBA meeting of the year set for February 18, the budget penciled in at this stage for March 25. There will then be a second Reserve Bank meeting. So even if they don't cut rates in February, there'll be an opportunity on April 1. At the end of that month of April is when the next big batch of inflation data comes through. That's for the first quarter of 2025. And then, of course, the election has to be held by the 17th of May. But that 18th of February meeting, the first chance to move this year, economists don't believe it's a done deal. There will be a rate cut on that date, even if these figures do indicate it is now more likely than it was a few hours ago.
Productivity numbers are really low. That's not great for inflation. And the services numbers in these data were not great. So you've still got services inflation running at 4.3%. So, you know, the RBA has to kind of consider all of that. Now, I don't necessarily think that that means it stops them from putting in a rate cut in February, but it's not a done deal.
We're going to hear from Angus Taylor shortly, and we'll speak to him on the program. But on another matter, MPs have been updating their declarations, their register of interests over summer, and one in particular has caught some attention.
Yeah, this happens regularly, Kieran. And of course, MPs, ministers, they declare all sorts of things, whether they be gifts, their changes in property or shareholdings and things of that nature as well. There is one declaration that's been made in the past week or so that has raised some eyebrows amongst the government and also some on the crossbench. I can show you this from Anne Webster, who's the Nationals member for Mallee. This is in northwest of Victoria, a very safe national seat. She's declared in the past week these new shareholdings that her husband has purchased in relation to uranium shares. This is a company, Deep Yellow is what it's called. It has major uranium projects in Namibia, for example, as well as in Australia. 2 projects, one in Western Australia and one in the Northern Territory as well. Now, this is all on the open record. It is on the public record, and there's no implication that Anne Webster has done anything wrong here. She has simply followed the rules by putting this on the public record. It has, though, the purchase of these uranium shares by her husband, Kieran, raised some eyebrows within the crossbench. They note, of course, that the coalition is very much pushing for nuclear power. It's a cornerstone of their energy policy. So a few eyebrows raised there by some on the crossbench, but of course no implication of any wrongdoing. It is all on the public record.